What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you? Easily the time I was breakdancing in drama class in grade 11 and kicked a girl in the face. I ran cross country in high school. I would lead stretches, meaning that both the boys and girls teams were circled around me. A buddy came up and pantsed me and grabbed too many layers. At least the girls team got the rear end and the guys got the front. I don't think I've ever been truly embarrassed since. I was in high school and we had a prize giving ceremony during school assembly. My name gets unexpectedly called out, so I make my way to the front of the hall to collect my prize. I'm almost at the front when I have a sudden crisis of confidence and think that I must have misheard them and there is no way they called my name. So I turn around, walk back to my chair and sit back down. My friends are looking at me and ask me what the hell I'm doing and tell me to get back up there to collect my prize. So I get back up, walk all the way up to the front, and then have another crisis of confidence and think that my friends must have been messing with me. So I turn around and walk back to my chair and sit back down. The hall is silent and the teachers are on stage looking at me like I just landed from another planet. I shit myself on my 13th birthday coming home from Red Lobster. Have not set foot in one since, not gonna risk it again. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes and the wonderful pan-shitting stories. Sometimes shit happens. Edit. I had the Bacchanal buffet at Caesars on my last day in Vegas on one of my yearly trips. I was fine until I got on the plane. I had to shit so bad and it was going to be diarrhea. However, we were racing a storm, so the flight attendants asked everyone to remain seated so we could leave. I begrudgingly agreed with my insides on fire. 25 minutes after sitting waiting to take off, they announced we'd have to taxi back and go from the opposite direction for a wind shift. It was another 30-minute delay. Then we finally get into the air and fly right into the storm. It was turbulent and would last another 10 minutes. The seatbelt sign was on, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Finally went to go shit. I exploded as soon as I got in there. Everyone in the back of the plane could smell it when I opened the door. One guy even called me out on it. Oh well. My fault for eating oysters on a buffet. When I was like 5 I shouted at my sister, "You're an idiot, idiot." 21 years later I've yet to live it down. I was working at a skating rink as a DJ and used to throw on my skates to mingle with customers. One of my skate moves was to drop down into the splits and pull myself back up like this scene. https://www.youtube.com/watch v=JHDETHRDQZG Michael Jackson's Bad Music video. One evening a regular ingrat child asked me to do the splits. I obliged him. Dropped down into the splits position. However, this time I didn't come back. Fast forward to having my pants cut off by EMT and being given morphine on the skate floor while customers continued to skate before being taken to the hospital. I had dislocated my patella. The story doesn't stop there because the skating rink's GM stopped into the hospital to check on me and I found it slightly odd that he rotated awkwardly from across the open space in the room to around the bed, cutting through the medical machines, almost knocking them over, and cables to stand against the gap in the wall to talk to me by my head. Being doped up, I did not realize at the time that my patient gown was thrown open and he saw all of my business. TLDR, I did the splits on purpose on roller skates and dislocated my kneecap while on the clock. Boss might have seen my junk. I once had diarrhea in the middle of class in 3rd grade. I was smart enough to wait until everyone left to recess and ask to go to the school nurse before anyone found out, but that memory still haunts me to this day. Seriously, please like and subscribe and comment something nice for your favorite Reddit slave. No idea if this is also the case in other countries, but here all shopping carts require a 50 cent or €1 coin to be put in for use. As a kid, whenever I would go shopping with my mom, I would return strayed or lost carts and keep the coin. One day I was with my mom in a huge hardware store. I saw a cart in the store filled with all kinds of stuff, but my kid logic told me, "OWH, it's probably from an employee restocking stuff. They wouldn't mind if I were to take it, right?" So here I am, emptying that cart. Clanks. Cans the whole lot. I return the cart, collect the 50 cents, and go to the kid corner to watch some TV or something. Here comes an employee joined by a very displeased older lady. She starts screaming at me, borderline crying about how mean I'm and anything. Then she walks away. I did not dare to go into that store for years after, in fear of her or the employee recognizing me. I was waiting for a friend to arrive at my home. Said friend was having a severe cold. So when the doorbell rang, I ran to open the door and jokingly pulled my shirt up so it would cover my nose and mouth to prevent infection. I pulled a little too high, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is how I opened the door to a baffled salesman with my boobs hanging out. He blushed. I blushed. We stared at each other for a second before I closed the door and hid in the darkest corner of my house. In 8th grade I had a teacher, Mr. Jane. He was 6'3", had to be over 400 pounds, and had a lazy eye. Mr. Jane was known for having bottles and bottles of Febreze in his room. Whenever he would smell a student stinking, he would stand up out of his chair, go from aisle to aisle sniffing kids, and spraying a cloud of mist over the kid that thought he smelled foul. I had forgot to wear deodorant one day, and I was lucky enough to be reined in the freshness. I farted really loud at the start of a French presentation. Farted very loudly on Valentine's Day in 4th grade. My freshman year of college, on my 19th birthday, there was a fire in my dorm. I was in the shower when the alarm went off. Had to jump out, and right then, a male runs in yelling that we need to evacuate immediately. I grabbed the closest towel I could find and barely covered myself up in time for him to look over. I then had to stand outside in nothing but a towel for over 2 hours while the fire was put out and the building was cleared. The fire was caused by some idiot microwaving tin foil. I couldn't call anyone to come get me because it was the first week of school and I hadn't made any friends who had a car yet. It was mildly frustrating. I got my period for the first time ever at 10 years old on school camp. No one had ever told me or educated me about it. I was scared and so embarrassed and was using loo roll to try and stop it from leaking everywhere. After a swim I, obviously, had bled all over my swimming shorts. The teacher came up to me and told me that I need to sort myself put because I was making the other girls uncomfortable. I didn't know how to sort myself out. Thankfully 2 days into this nightmare a kind mother noticed what had happened and gave me some pads. But yeah, worst class camp ever. I was so embarrassed. In high school I was having these messed up periods that were extremely heavy to the point that blood kept leaking constantly. I was in English class and something felt wrong, and I noticed a puddle of period blood underneath my chair. Then my English teacher called my name to go up and grab my assignment. Thankfully my friend went up and got it for me and also walked behind me to the bathroom. I thought I was the only one at work one early morning. There was zero chance any other worker would be there for hours. I was listening to loud music on my headphones. Had to fart. Did it. Loud. Vibrating juicy one. Turned around in my chair to see the overpass cleaning lady standing right behind me. She looked quite ill. In 4th grade I wrote that I loved my crush in my notebook a few times, and my "see you next Tuesday" of a teacher saw that and decided to read it to the class for no reason. Just to embarrass me. Fucking bitch. I still hate her to this day. She also once shamed my bad art skills by literally taking my artwork and the best artist in the class and saying this is how it should look and this is how it shouldn't. I'm 30 years old, and if I saw her today I would punch her square in the face. When I was 26 or so, my brother and I planned to meet up with my dad at a high school basketball game once. Showed up. Saw my dad in his familiar spot, standing along the railing, looking down on the court from above. Even when facing away, dude's easy to pick out of a linoop on account of his signature olive green winter coat, faded blue jeans, and Air Monarchs. https://dks scene 7 com/is/image/gulf galaxy /16 nickmrunruch_white_mtlc_mid_navy1 WID =1080 and FMT =JPG. Thought I'd mess with him by going up and just standing uncomfortably close to his body until he noticed my presence. He gets locked into basketball, so he didn't acknowledge me at first. So I got ever closer. He finally turned around. Wasn't my dad. I looked 15 feet to my left, where my dad and brother looked on, bemused, befuddled, and disappointed. Began apologizing profusely to the stranger I'd accosted, but couldn't string words together well. So I just began pointing at him, and then at my dad and then back. Graciously, the stranger in question acknowledged that he and my father were wearing the same dad uniform, and he smiled and nodded his head in understanding, which only made things slightly less embarrassing. As a kid, I was left-handed, so I tried to deride this kid who was right-handed by saying, "No one writes with their right hand. You're so weird." Turns out, the whole motherfucking class was right-handed. It was so embarrassing. I once said I think Friday the 13th is going to land on a Thursday. I was in the 6th grade. They used to line us up after recess and dismiss each class at a time. I go, leaving a couple of girls in the other class giggling at something. So I was feeling confident. I'm walking up the stairs, looking/smiling at them when my head hits the middle partition bar thing between the double doors. My head bounds back with a huge thud, and the teacher's like, "OMG, are you okay?" I pick up my ego and went inside. One time I passed out while meeting my new girlfriend's friends for the first time and pissed myself all over their floor. Walked into a pole. Hard. With all my school nearby. It was the end of school. I was by myself and felt awkward already and felt the need to say oh to the pole, and then I realized and then proceeded to say just kept my head down and walked swiftly on after that. Said thank you to an ATM. The amount of times I have asked for help to people who did not work at the store. I don't know if it is like this in other countries, but in Norway the buses have 2 groups of 4 seats that face each other in addition to regular bus seats. So I was getting on the bus, and because I am in a rush to find a seat before the bus starts to move, I head to one of the 4-seat groups with an old lady sitting across from me. The bus was very full, so this was the only seat available. But before I got the chance to put my belt on, the bus had started to move, but came to a sudden stop. I plunged forward, and I accidentally face planted into the poor old woman and her sizable bosoms.